Welcome back to Rich Reads Academy. This is part 3 in our free course on one of the most powerful financial books ever written, The Richest Man in Babylon. If you've made it this far, you've already learned the 7 cures for a lean purse, and you've met the key characters, people like Arkad, Rodon, and Sharu Nada, who show us how ordinary individuals can rise from struggle to security. Now, in this final video, we'll explore the last major parables in the book, including the dangers of debt, the myths about luck, the power of consistent discipline, and the real reason most people stay broke. These final stories bring everything together. Let's begin. The first story we'll look at is one of the most relatable, because it deals with something many of us know all too well: debt. In this parable, we meet a man named Dabasir. He's a camel trader. But before that, he was a man deeply in debt, ashamed, hiding from those he owed, and convinced he'd never be free. At one point, Dabasir even considers fleeing Babylon entirely, running away from his obligations. But eventually he reaches a turning point. He realizes that debt is not just a financial problem. It's a character problem, a test of discipline, of honesty, and of self-respect. So he stops running, and he makes a plan. With the help of a money mentor, Dabasir writes down every single person he owes, no matter how small the amount. Then he sends each one a promise, a written vow that he will repay them over time, little by little. And from that moment forward, he lives on 70% of what he earns. 10% he saves for himself. 20% he uses to repay his debts. It takes time. It takes consistency. But eventually he becomes free. The lesson? Freedom doesn't come from escaping your obligations. It comes from facing them, and slowly, steadily taking control. This parable is so powerful because debt is still one of the biggest causes of stress today. Credit cards, student loans, car payments, buy now, pay later schemes. The book doesn't shame those in debt, but it does challenge us to stop avoiding it and start managing it with courage. Dabasir's plan wasn't fast, but it was effective. And that's the Babylonian way. The next parable tackles a completely different myth, the idea that wealth is all about luck. In this story, the author asks a question: is success just about good fortune? To answer it, we meet 2 friends, Arkad and a man named Sharu, discussing what separates the rich from the poor. One of the men argues that luck plays the biggest role, that some people just seem to have it and others don't. But Arkad disagrees. He says luck doesn't create wealth, action does. And to prove his point, he gives this example. If a man has the chance to buy a valuable piece of land, but hesitates, and another man buys it and becomes rich, was that luck? No, Arkad says. It was preparedness meeting opportunity. Luck may present itself to anyone, but only the decisive benefit from it. Babylonian wisdom teaches us that luck is not something to chase. Instead, you prepare, you save, you study, you build habits. Then when an opportunity shows up, you're ready to act. People call it luck, but really it's the result of months or years of quiet preparation. Another parable expands on this idea, showing how people often blame fate for their financial struggles, rather than taking personal responsibility. In the story, a man loses everything gambling. He begs for help, claims he's cursed, says nothing ever goes his way. But the wealthy man listening to his story says something simple: "You have not been unlucky, you have been unwise." That line hits hard. It reminds us that many of our struggles are not the result of misfortune, but of decisions. Overspending, impulsive choices, listening to the wrong people, refusing to plan ahead. This doesn't mean life is always fair. But Babylon teaches us that while we can't control every outcome, we can control our response. And most of the time, better choices lead to better results, especially over time. One of the final lessons in the book focuses on generosity, and how to give from a place of wisdom, not guilt. In the parable, a man receives a large gift from a relative. Instead of blowing it, he seeks advice. He's told, if you give this money away without a plan, you will be left with nothing, and those you help will likely misuse it. But if he invests it wisely, grows it, and becomes a steward of wealth, then his ability to help others will increase, not shrink. This is a lesson many people need to hear today. Babylon teaches us to be generous, but only after we have secured ourselves. Because giving from a weak foundation doesn't uplift others. It drains both parties. So don't feel guilty for building wealth first. Your security gives you the power to give freely and wisely later. Let's shift now to one of the closing messages of the book. It's not a single story, it's a theme. The idea that wealth is not built in a moment, but in a lifetime. The book repeats this truth over and over again. Save consistently, spend wisely, invest carefully, protect your gold, learn constantly. There's nothing flashy about it. But that's the point. The people of Babylon who became wealthy didn't rely on luck or speed or secret tricks. They relied on principles. And they followed those principles over time. That's the final lesson I want to leave you with. There is no secret. There is only clarity and repetition. Clarity about what works. Repetition of the habits that build real wealth. If you've watched all 3 parts of this series, you already have more than most people. You understand the 7 cures for a lean purse. You've heard the stories of Arkad, Sharunada, Dabasir, Rodan, and others. And now, you've seen the deeper lessons. That debt is something to face, not flee. That luck is created through preparation. That wisdom beats emotion. That wealth is earned in habits, not events. This is what the richest man in Babylon gives us. Not tactics, but a way of thinking. A mindset of patience, responsibility, and quiet strength. And if you adopt that mindset, everything else becomes possible. Before we wrap, I've created something to help you reflect on this series. It's a free printable PDF called 10 Timeless Lessons from Babylon, taken directly from the book, with modern translations and reflection prompts. You can stick it on your wall, keep it in your journal. Use it as a reminder whenever you feel stuck or uncertain. Because the key to building wealth isn't more information. It's more repetition of the right information. You'll find the download link below. No sign-up required. Also, if you haven't read the full book yet, I encourage you to. The Richest Man in Babylon is a short read, but it's one of those books that grows with you. The more you learn, the more it teaches. I've linked to a copy below, in case you want to experience it for yourself. Thank you for being part of this series. If it helped you, leave a comment below. Let me know what resonated, and share it with someone who might need it. There are more book breakdowns coming soon, all with the same goal, to give you tools, not just talk. Subscribe if you haven't already. And remember, your wealth doesn't begin when you make more money. It begins the moment you decide to treat money with respect. That moment could be today. In the next video, we draw out 10 key takeaways from the whole book. No fluff, just the best concepts and the most powerful points, so that you retain the information and begin to implement these powerful lessons today. See you in the next video.